Welcome to PTR Perspective. It's a special series from the Green Auto Summit in Stuttgart. In the next 2 days, we'll have a series of discussions and interviews with some of the greatest minds in the e-mobility sector. And we'll try to learn from them what are the key solutions and innovations driving the change in this market. And my first guest today is Mr. Alexandre Videira. He's with MOBI.E, and he's going to talk us through what is happening in the e-mobility market of Portugal and overall in Europe as well. Welcome to PTR Perspective.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It will be a pleasure to be here. And to talk a little bit about what we are doing in Portugal related to electric mobility, because we have a slightly different approach from the rest of Europe, and it would be really nice to explain.
All right, perfect. Could you walk us through what MOBI.E is? What's the background? I read about the history of the organization. So could you please walk us through the organization first?
Okay. So MOBI.E is a state-owned company, and we are responsible for managing the electric mobility network in Portugal. In Portugal, we have a slightly difference from the rest of Europe, where all charging stations, all networks are connected in one national network. Okay, that means that the idea is to give the user the best experience when he is going to charge this. And all publicly available charging stations that are in Portugal, they are all connected to the MOBI.E platform. So basically MOBI.E runs a roaming platform that makes the integration with the electrical sector. What does that mean? That means that if you have a contract with your energy supplier, you can use that contract to charge everywhere on the network. Because we are splitting the activity of the CPO from the activity of the MSP or the energy seller. In Portugal, we call it the energy seller for electric mobility. And so, using a contract from one of those energy sellers, you can charge everywhere on the network, in all publicly available charging stations. And adding to that, we have also the possibility to connect private accessible charging stations to the network. What you can do with that is that you can use your contract, your electricity contract, to charge in those charging stations. Imagine that you have a condominium, for instance. You can have one charging station for the whole condominium. All users can go there, they charge their car, they swap their car, or they use their app, and the energy is going to be paid by the user to his energy.
Right.
So that is basically what we are doing here in Portugal and our work in MOBI.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alexandre. Before we dive into Portuguese e-mobility market, let's address some of the negativity in the air right now, because overall year 2024. EV slowed down, especially in Europe, some of the Western European countries. So what's your perspective on it? Is this something you think it's a wake-up call? What is working, what is not working? So could you please share your thoughts on what has happened so far in Europe in 2024?
I think it was something that was punctual, because probably basically related with incentives. Probably in Germany, when the government decided to ended up some of those subsidies to electric vehicles, it has a huge impact on the market. For instance, in Portugal, the market continues to grow. Last month, in September, we had 40% in market share for 100% electric vehicles and plug-in vehicles. And 100% electric vehicles have a share of 27%. So, those are good numbers. I think what is happening in Europe probably is something that is punctual and not structural change in the path that we are having, because I believe we are going to continue to grow in the next few years, and probably the high side.
Got it. And what do you think the regulatory landscape is? Is there a difference in Portuguese market versus rest of the countries in Europe? What do you think is working for the country, and what are the differences, or what are the unique points of Portuguese e-mobility market when it comes to the regulations and regulatory landscape overall?
Well, basically, at the moment, we have an European regulation with AFIR. We have basically an European regulation that applies in all countries. So basically, in Portugal, we have exactly the same regulation. What we are doing in Portugal is that we add to that the differentiation of the activities of a charging point operator and of an MSP, an energy seller. And with that, we if you want to develop your activity in Portugal as a CPO, as you are doing in the rest of Europe, you can do it with no problem, exactly in the same way. You just need to act as a CPO and as an MSP in Portugal, because those figures are what you call a European CPO. But you can obviously do exactly the same thing. The advantage that you have is that when you are providing your role as a CPO, as an MSP, you can give your EV users, your clients, the possibility to charge not only on your charging stations, but also on all charging stations that are publicly available in Portugal, and inclusive on some private charging stations.
Got it. Okay, Alexandre, let's talk about some of the key trends in charging. We talked a little bit about charging infrastructure. What do you think is the right mix between AC and DC, ultra high power charging, especially from megawatt charging point of view? How do you see the trends changing in Europe in the coming years, and specifically about Portuguese market as well?
Well, I think we are going to have all types of charging, because they are unique for each utilization. I mean, it's not the same thing when we are going to charge our car. It's not the same thing as refueling the car. So basically, you can charge your car at home, you can charge your car at your office, you can charge your car at your company. So basically, if you are going to do that, probably you are using an AC charger. If you are going to park on the street for during the day, for instance, or during the night, if you do not have a private garage, you will use an AC charger. But if you are going to have a long distance travel, if you are on a highway, you will need to charge as fast as you can. So you will have ultra fast charge there. So basically, I think it would be a mix of both charging technologies, because that's really important for the industry, because you have a lot of different business models that you can implement. When you are talking about AC charging, you can have a lot of things like vehicle to grid, flexibility, providing service to the grid. You can use the fact that the car is parked to use those type of services. Instead, if you are using ultra fast charge on a highway, you are not expecting to have a car there parked to provide those kinds of service. You need the EV users to charge as fast as you can in order to leave the charging stations for other users.
Right.
So you will have
it's a mix that you expect.
And I think we are just on the beginning. We are talking at the moment in Europe. I don't know the exact figure, but for instance, in Portugal, we only have, in the whole amount of cars that we have in Portugal, we have 3% of electric vehicles. So we are in the beginning. We have a lot to grow. So in Europe, we are probably talking about figures like those ones. So
and you mentioned about V2G. We've been hearing for a long time V2G as a potential solution to alleviate some of the problems of the power grid as well. EVs acting as a resource rather than a burden for the power grid. But this is something which has sort of stayed in the concept phase for a long while. What do you think are the barriers? What do you think V2G, what will propel V2G faster than what is happening right now?
Yeah, at the moment I think in V2G we are still in a very early stage. We are in the development of the technology. We have a lot of pilots around Europe. It's obviously is working. We already tested, but it's not easy to implement it. You need to find the right incentive for the user to implement a V2G solution. You will need to have a special charging station. You will need to have cars that are prepared to do that. And most important, you will need to have information and a system that allows an EV user to use those potential as easy as possible. Because if it's something that is hard for the EV user, it's not going to use it.
Right. Speaking of power grid, it is usually considered as one of the most important piece of the puzzle. Availability of the grid capacity is a big question. What's happening in the Portuguese market? Is that still is also a big topic when it comes to e-mobility in Portugal? Having enough grid capacity, is that a big topic already?
I would not say not a big topic on having the grid capacity. If we are talking about in general, we have a very good grid, so we are not going to have problems in the next few years. But obviously, if you are talking about some specific sites, sometimes it is hard to have power on those sites, and sometimes it takes too long to have that power. So that is something that we are working on in Portugal with the government, with the DSOs, with the municipalities, in order to find ways to make as easy as possible the access to the power and the licensing process. Those are those two things that are putting some barriers to the growing of the infrastructure.
Could you please elaborate the licensing?
Well, if you need to install, for instance, a charging stations on the street, for instance, you will need a license from the municipality to use the public space.
Right.
Sometimes it takes too long. If you need to make some works on the street, you will need a license. Sometimes it takes too long. So those are some of the things that we are working on with the municipalities in order to make the life of CPOs as easy as possible.
I was speaking to a CPO here in Germany, and they mentioned that because of the distribution grid is so much fragmented, you have 800 plus DSOs in Germany. It's a staggering number. So it becomes very difficult to, comply with the grid codes of every. So you have to know, okay, I am in this area. So it is a big headache for them.
Yes, that's true. In Portugal, we do not have that problem because we basically have one big DSO in the mainland, and we have one DSO in each of the islands. So, we do not have that problem in Portugal, and we have, as I told you, we have a direct connection with the DSO because we exchange a lot of information every day regarding the split of the energy, the split of the power. So, the DSO in Portugal is an important piece of the ecosystem and plays a really important role.
And MOBI is working with the DSO and the government to sort of sort all these things out.
Yes, that's our role too, because we are a public state-owned company. We are a public company, so basically we help the government in the regulation area. We help the government in implementations of the regulations and the directives, and we also work with the DSO in order to provide the best service to the CPLs and to the MSPs.
Got it. And let's talk about reliability of chargers. It has become a big topic. Availability is one thing, but then being able to see the charging infrastructure. Previously it used to be discussed that and EV users should be able to see charging infrastructure because that gives them confidence that every few kilometers I have a charger and I can charge my vehicle. So that used to be topic. But then now you see a lot of chargers, but charger reliability becomes an issue. You can see on the app a charger is available, but you go there and it's broken, it's not working. For example, it is a big topic in the US, by the way. It's far more worse in the US. What's your perspective? What's your take on reliability, and especially from a Portuguese standpoint? How do you see this topic?
In two ways. First of all, the question of the reliability of the equipment. Well, we are not in the early stage of the charging stations, but we are in the beginning. So, yes, there are some issues regarding the reliability of the equipment, and that is something that the manufacturers are working on. I believe that with time, things are going to become better. But on top of that, I think the most important thing is information for us. What we have in Portugal is that yes, all publicly available charging stations are connected to the same network, so that you, as a user, you can use all of them with just one card or one app. You choose the card or the app that you want to have, and you can charge everywhere. But more important than that is that you have information about what's happening on the whole network. And it is real-time information. That means that you receive information in real time from every charging station. So if you go to every MSP app in Portugal, every CPO app in Portugal, you will have reliable information about what's happening with the charging station. So, sometimes the charging station is not working, but you have that information. And that is important for you when you are taking decisions to go there or to go to the other side to charge your car.
Right. Okay. So having the information, I think, is extremely crucial, having reliable information. I think having that information is crucial to then also provide maintenance on the charging infrastructure as well. That leads me to another question, perhaps the last question, that who owns, then when it comes to data, all this information, then there are questions about security, leakage of information. So all these topics come into the equation. So who owns the data? Do you think there is need for regulation over there as well? Or do you think what's already in place is enough? We just need to comply with it?
Yeah, I think what we have in place, it's enough. We have, this is a huge topic for us in Portugal, because, as I told you, we have information from all CPOs and from all MSPs, and critical information.
Right.
So it is a big topic for us, data protection. And, I think we have the right rules in Europe for that. We just need to make sure that people comply with that.
Right, perfect. And one last thing on, if there is any unique problem that you think that only you're facing in the Portuguese market, and then you're solving that problem, any hurdles, any roadblocks that you think are specific to the country, maybe, share so that, anyone listening to this can learn from this. Are there any specific roadblocks that are there, which you are trying to solve or remove?
What I told you, we are very much focused on the licensing process, the power process, and especially, for instance, when we are talking about heavy-duty vehicles. We are working very much on the preparation of the network for trucks, and it's going to be a hard work because, yes, we are all starting in Europe. I heard that in Germany we already have a tender that is running.
Right.
It is good news because it has some innovations for Germany, much like what we have in Portugal, the differentiation between the CPO and the MSP, the possibility to bring your own energy contract to charge on the charging stations of the CPOs. I think it would be really interesting for Germany. That is something that we are doing in Portugal since 2009. But the biggest question in Portugal for us at the moment is licensing process and the access to the power. I think those are the most important areas that we need to focus our attention on.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alexandre, for all the insights. And I hope it was insightful for our listeners and viewers as well. And so this concludes our first interview, first expert discussion at Green Auto Summit. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.